Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Rico Auto Industries Limited Q1 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by Essential Technologies Private Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star and 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Saurabh Bhave from Essential Technologies. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. My name is Saurabh Bhave. On behalf of Essential Technologies, I welcome you all to Rico Auto Industries Q1 and FY22 earnings conference call. From the management, we have Mr. Arvind Kapur, Chairman, CEO, and Managing Director, Mr. O.P. Agarwal, Chief Advisor, Finance and Accounts, Mr. Rakesh Sharma, CFO, and Mr. B.M. Jam, Company Secretary. Now may I request Mr. Arvind Kapur to take us through his opening remarks, subsequent to which we can open up the floor for the Q&A session. Thank you, and over to you, Kapur sir.
Good evening. My name is Arvind Kapur, and I have my colleagues also sitting here. Colleagues from the marketing, from the finance, and I have got the CEO and all the financial guys also sitting here. And this quarter, as you all know, that we were in the midst of the second COVID wave, and I did address this in the last meeting also, but at the cost of repetition, we were in the midst of the second COVID wave, and so what happened was we lost almost 5 to 6 weeks of our revenues, primarily because some of the OEMs were shut. And Karnataka was one state which did not allow manufacturing at all, so Toyota was shut absolutely. And also some of the component makers in the whole of Karnataka were also shut. But fortunately, in North India and in the rest of India, all the factories were running. And we were fortunate that we were allowed to run because we could then meet our export obligations. But in the domestic side, because of the requirement of oxygen, the OEMs had decided to close their plants, ranging from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, in some cases it was even longer. And so as a result of it, in the console, our total sale is approximately 400 crores, and we lost approximately 100 crores of sale, which we could have done very easily because the capacities are in place, and and we have the requirement for the material as well. But we were still fortunate that we could touch 400 crores, and that was primarily because of the exports and also getting a larger share of whatever domestic market was available for that particular period. And so we are, but a month of May was definitely a stressed period. Besides that, the market is a little challenging at the moment. The passenger vehicles, they do have a demand, and as you must everybody would be knowing, there is a shortage of chips, and some of the car makers, they are reducing the volume of production in some plants, and or diverting the chips to the more popular models so that the numbers could actually sustain that. Fortunately, Toyota does not have a shortage of chips, because in the last about 2 years back, when there was a tsunami there, not tsunami, there was a fire in one of the plants there. So after that, they decided to de-risk, and so they started stocking for almost 6 to 8 months all the chips that they have. So Toyota has been the fortunate one which has not seen any shortfalls. But having said that, all the others are definitely feeling some shortages. The Koreans are trying to help the Korean makers in India, but I think everybody would be impacted to some extent. In the two-wheelers, we did not see the same rebound that we saw in the first wave of COVID, after the first wave of COVID. And this time, what has happened is that it has been fairly not a very aggressive market. In fact, it's been on the lower side. But the rains have been good this time, and the output of the agriculture is also doing well. And so we are hoping that the rural demand will pick up again, because the two-wheeler primarily does depend on the rural demand. And at this time, of course, the COVID wave did hit the rural sector as well, and that is probably the reason I think that the demand has been on the lower, has been a little subdued as far as the two-wheelers is concerned. Commercial vehicles, in the smaller commercial vehicles, the demand is picking up. In the larger commercial vehicles, it is there, but could be better. And the off-road vehicles also, we find that it is subdued at the moment. And we are hoping that in another month's time, I think, let's hope the third wave does not hit us. And if that does not come, we will be in a fortunate situation. And we are hoping that August onwards, and with the festival season also being around the corner, I think the total market should start picking up in this. Of late, you must have heard the government announcing the scrappage policy. So finally, that scrappage policy is in place, and it will take some while before it actually gets implemented, because we need to have a complete process of how to scrap the vehicles, how the numbers will be deleted, and how the recycling is going to take place. So a couple of plants will come up, and we are hoping that within a year's time there would be some activity that would actually start coming. Within a year and a half time, there would be activity which would take place. So in the long run, this would actually benefit the industry, because there would be some incentives that would be given for scrapping the older vehicles. And then, of course, recycling would take place of almost all the materials, including the electronic parts, etc., which would also be there. So at the moment, the market, we are hoping that the market picks up, and we are waiting for the season to come. But what will happen with the chip shortage, we are not very certain. And but all the companies are working on it. Some companies say that it's another 5 to 6 months' time before the chips availability would be there. Some say it might take even 9 months to 1 year. So we are hoping it is sooner than later. And now, because of chip shortage, we don't want any shortage in the shortage of the vehicles in the market. That's what we are all hoping that this would happen. And but fortunately, the demand is there. So for the passenger vehicles, definitely. And the funding and the financing has also started happening. So the exports are very good, and we are very happy at the demand and the pull that is happening there. And let me tell you, the chip shortage is also hitting those people, BMWs and PSAs, and in fact, PSA they had to shut the plant for 2 weeks. Primarily because of the shortage of chips, and that is the electric vehicle that they are producing, for which we are supplying a lot of components. And so all this is happening in the market, but still, despite that, our exports are higher than before, and our domestic market is also is okay. I think that's what I have to say. And at the time, the profitability. There was a net loss of 1.21 crores. That's primarily because of the less production or less utilization of capacities for the month of May. And had we done the 100 crores, we would have had very good profits in this quarter. But we're hoping that this quarter would be even better. Over to you. I think we can start the questions and answers.
Thank you very much, sir. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to withdraw yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, to ask a question, you're requested to enter star and one. Participants, we requested to enter star and one to ask questions.
And before anybody asks questions, I can also talk a little about the electric vehicles. The government is also encouraging electric vehicles in India, and all the state governments have started offering and even matching the subsidies that the best are offering, and for the two-wheelers as well as for the passenger vehicles. And for the buses and others, of course, it's a state buying that is actually taking place. And we are only hoping that the infrastructure which is required, that also starts developing. That will take a while, but I'm sure in about 2-3 years or 4 years' time, there would be more charging stations available to the public, because at the moment, over the years, the charging would become much faster. At the moment, it might take a little while before the charging takes place, full charging happens. But soon, many people are looking at various options. One is swapping of the batteries, which would be very fast, which would take just about 3 to 5 minutes. That is the time that normally takes to fill up a tank in a passenger vehicle, and or even a two-wheeler. And the other is, of course, the charging stations and fast charging stations. There, the requirement of power is very heavy. And since the government is determined, and I think many companies are coming up, and in India, Ola is setting an example for setting up such a large capacity two-wheeler manufacturing. We are engaged with them also. But electric vehicles will pick up. But by 2030, I still stand by what I had said. The total sale of vehicles would be around 15%, plus minus 5% would be the total sale of vehicles. The electric vehicles, electrified vehicles that would be sold in the market.
A reminder to all the participants, to ask a question, please enter star and one. First question is from the line of Chandra Govind from Ashmore. Please go ahead.
Sir, the question that I had was one data keeping question. What was the domestic sales for the quarter?
Domestic sale for the quarter was the total consolidated sale was 302 crores.
Sorry?
302 crores.
Okay. So, on Dharuhera project, we again spent 4.4 crore on this quarter for the VRS. So, are we done with VRS?
Yeah. Okay. I should have mentioned that earlier. We have done with, we closed the plant. In fact, we settled with all our people. Of course, there are cases which are still going on, but we've actually paid up everybody and anybody there. So the 25-30 crores of loss that we used to incur every year, that would not be there anymore. But in Dharuhera, on a portion of it, we've actually set up a COVID care center, because in the month of May, as everybody knows, there was a tremendous shortage of beds and oxygen and medical staff that was required. We're still holding on, even though we have no patients now. But we have made all arrangements for generating oxygen and also having concentrators, etc., etc. And if at all there is a third wave, we are fully equipped to cater to the requirements of the public.
Okay. Sir, another question on the raw material costs. So last quarter we were impacted because of the price escalations, and there was a lag to pass on the cost. So this quarter, gross margins are almost back to the normal. So do we have, any products left with price escalations, or are we done with passing on the costs?
Except with the companies like Renault, where it is a 6-monthly cycle. All the other places, the price revision has happened. And but once we have recovered. Last year we lost, okay, there's a lag of almost 17 crores which is there pending from last year because of the variation of the prices of the raw materials, which we are supposed to get. Now, how do we get it? We get it in the price adjustment that actually takes place today, and we're hoping that the prices actually start dropping so that the averages actually go in our favor. Last year they were against us, and that's the reason there's a 17 crore lag which is still pending. And once we've recovered that, we are very confident that 14 we recovered. Okay, 14 we have recovered, and once that is done, we even with Renault, we are going to request them to bring it down to 3 months rather than 6 months average.
Okay. Okay. On the export side, how was the freight rates this quarter?
Yeah. Okay. The freight rates, there's a big challenge for the freight rates that has happened. And what has happened is that the container availability is a challenge. And then the number of days that the sailings are taking. Earlier, last time when I spoke to you, I mentioned to you it's taking 7 to 8 weeks. Now it's gone to 10 to 12 weeks. And there's a shortage of containers. The prices are going up. So the longer the goods stay on the sea, the challenges increase manifold. One is, of course, the wooden pallets, etc., and also the packaging that we provide and the protection that we give to the components. They last normally 8 to 12 weeks. 12 weeks on the sea, and the sea is the atmosphere is very difficult there, and so that also becomes another challenge for us. And number two, the stocks in our warehouses, which last year we had a lot of difficulty in actually filling up, those also reduced, and so the premium freight then kick in because we can't shut the lines of the customers. So instead of 8 weeks, now it's taken 10 to 12 weeks for the goods to reach our destination. But having said that, the freight rates have also gone up. But what we are doing is that we've taken an internal challenge that whatever freight rates we had spent last year, I'm talking of the sea freight rates, we've taken a challenge to reduce it by at least 30 to 40%. And that we are doing by better utilization of containers, by combining all our iron and aluminum in the same containers so that the stuffing could be better and more economical. And we are waiting for some permissions from our customers so that we can ship from one place rather than two, three different plants. So all that is happening, and hopefully these days Europe is closed, Germany is closed, and hopefully in another 2 weeks' time we should get all the permissions, and I think this should also take in. And pending that, stuffing of the container has become more aggressive, and we are actually putting in almost 30 to 40% more material into the containers, if it's pure only aluminum or if it's only iron. So all that has started already, and we'll make it even better in about another 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time.
Okay. Any extra cost that we spent on this freight because of all the difficulties that you faced?
We spent 2.5 crores, 2.5 crores extra on the air freight. But out of it, because now this is not our fault, and so we told the customers that they will have to pitch in. We cannot bear these costs.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Participants, if you wish to ask a question, please enter star and 1. The next question is from the line of Satish Gupta from IndusInd Bank. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
So just wanted to know if you can give us any guidance on the profitability front, that how is the current quarter shaping up? You already have July sales with you, and the Dharwad plant is now closed. So how do you expect this quarter to shape up in terms of profitability?
No, the quarter is going good, and even then, if at all we had done 100 crores of extra sale last month in the last quarter, we would have had another 25 to 30 crores plus at the bottom line. And because all the expenses had already been incurred, but we could not produce the goods. And so now from that you can judge as to what this quarter would be and the following quarters would be. The only thing we are afraid of is the third wave. And let's hope it doesn't hit India and doesn't hit us here. And our profitability would be much better. We would be back to what we used to have many years back, if not better than that.
Right, sir. Sir, any other one-off expense which you are currently incurring, which you are expecting will not incur, you'll have to incur in the future? Is there anything one-off left?
Some of the things, one is the Dharuheda saving that I'm telling you, there would be a saving of at least about 20 crores in Dharuheda. And in the air freights, last year we incurred a lot of the air freights, and this year there would be a saving of at least about 20-25 crores there also. And the recovery of the lag of aluminium, that of course is the other thing that would impact us this year. And in the packing and freight, we are targeting to save with the better utilization. We already have a plan in place. We already started making the shipment, about 10 crores there also. And of course, balances, of course, more efficiently using our current equipment that we have. So these are some of the direct savings that happen without any extra effort that we need to put in. Besides that, let me tell you that we've already been able to reduce, like last year what happened was that because of the COVID situation last year, we went into a panic mode, and we had to, a lot of our people, I'm talking of last year, a lot of our people had left and gone to the villages, the migrant labor. So we, instead of that migrant labor, we had to hire more people, and we had almost 400 to 500 extra people. We have reduced the people by almost 400 already, and there's a target of reducing the people by another 200, as most of the people have come back, number one. Number two, we've been able to better train the people that we had hired afresh. So that it's 400 people have already been reduced. So these are the savings which are already there now.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, if you wish to ask a question, please enter star and 1. The next question is from the line of Vivek Singh, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. I have a few questions, sir. Can you share the revenue for FY22 and what are the margin are we expecting for FY22?
See, like we had mentioned last time, we'll be plus 2,000 crores this year, and we'll exceed the 2,000 crores in any case. And we had mentioned in the last meeting also that we should be back to our EBITDA margins of 11% plus.
Okay. Sir, I have another question. You earlier have indicated a capex of 80 to 90 crores. So will that be remain same for this year as well?
No, this year, we had mentioned all this last time also, but I'm repeating it again this time. Normally what we do is we invest whatever our depreciation is. That's what the board has given us permission now for. But this year what is happening is there's a special project of Toyota which is coming in, this mainly for the electrification of vehicles. These are for the hybrid vehicles, and we'll be the first ones outside Toyota company anywhere in the world making those big components for Toyota. And those are meant for Toyota as well as Maruti Suzuki, and also for exports back to Japan and also to Southeast Asia. So we will be making investment for that. The turnover of that will come only next year. So I wish to tell you that. But the investments will start happening this year. So we are expecting an investment of about a total about 120 crores this year. It'll be about 100 crores, 110 crores this year, and then balance will be done in the next year. And before the production actually starts by June, July next year. So that would be the special Toyota. That's a complete new project that's actually coming up.
Okay. And one more question, sir, I have. Can you share me the export number as a percentage of revenue? What are we expecting this year?
We normally 25 to 30%. That's where we are. And see, what happens is that we are talking about only direct exports. If we look at the indirect exports, when I say indirect, I ship to PSA in India, and PSA ships them further, and or I ship to Renault, and Renault ships it further. Earlier, we were shipping directly to Renault in France and Morocco and other places, but now Renault has started consolidating and started shipping from here. I'm not talking of the vehicles they are assembled with our components. I'm talking of the components which are shipped from here to the other countries, to Brazil and other countries and all. We don't include those in exports. Those we regard as domestic components. So whatever is direct exports, that we regard. So that is around 30% of our turnover.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I will come back in the queue.
Thank you. Participants, if you wish to ask a question, please enter star and 1. The next question is from the line of Bhaskar Takra, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So I'm actually coming through this conference call since last couple of years. Especially last 3 years, actually, we are having some issues related to the process. So have you ever considered actually to take some kind of consultancy help to streamline the process? Just to avoid any kind of losses that we are at.
Now, 1 minute. Thank you for asking this question. Okay. For the electric vehicles, there are components which are made of very special metal. This is not the normal aluminum metal which we use on a daily basis for all the auto components. And this metal behavior is entirely different. It varies with temperature, it varies with pressure. If you give reverse pressure, it varies absolutely. And we've gone through that cycle for almost about a year now. And we had a lot of rejections and a lot of challenges there. We mastered that now, and we are very confident that we would get out of it. And let me tell you, our customers also helped us in that. BMW was involved, and even PSA was involved in finding because for them also it was a new metal, and they also did not have the experience. But jointly, I think our teams have done a very good job. And I think another month's time or so, you will see the massive change that will happen in the rejections, etc., that are actually happening there. So it has been internal teams as well as BMW teams as well as PSA teams which have worked together to actually do it. For systems, we regularly have consultants who help us in the systems that we engage in any case. And even now we have, because whatever system we have, there can always be a better system. So for that, we believe that there should be somebody who should be guiding us and holding our hand to make sure that we go to the next level. We have also taken up a project with BMW jointly to go to the next level of manufacturing. So that's the other project that is coming up. So this is a constant effort that we keep on having on upgrading our manufacturing facilities.
Okay. Yeah, it's my main issue is like more of the process, like how you procure, how you timelines and everything. It's kind of estimating what's going to happen if something like COVID happens in the future. So if we have the processes in place, then we can mostly avoid the extractions that we have on call.
Well, even if we have very good processes, but when you start operating with a metal without any experience, with new experience, that actually we thought it was going to be novel aluminum and life would be as normal as earlier. But it really surprised us also, surprised PSA, surprised BMW as well. And now all of us actually put our heads together and we've been able to design a better process now. So we don't hesitate to ask for help. Let me be honest there. In case there's an issue, we are open to consultants. We are open to our customers who also have excellent manufacturing strength. We are open to consultants who come from Germany. So we are open to all, and we do on a regular basis do it so that we can go to the next level of manufacturing.
Okay. And one more question is like, as a retail investor, actually, I'm invested in last 10 years, but I have seen in the last quarter most of the like whether it's FAS, FX, mutual funds, they all actually move out of our company, like they sold. So what do you think is lacking that we are not able to actually attract any mutual funds, any big funds to invest in our company? What could be the reason things are like? Why we are not able to attract any big investment companies to invest in or buy some part of our company? Because it's mostly like 53%, 50.3% is promoter. Remaining everything is with retail investors like me.
Well, we are glad that we have many retail investors, but having said that, there are mutual funds who started entering again. And now, because of COVID, of course, there was travel was restricted. So, I mean, normally we would actually go to Mumbai and other places and actually have conferences, etc., and have one-to-one meetings with all the investors. And those had stopped for the last 2 years. We will start doing it again because we are hoping that the third wave doesn't come, and we would certainly like to get all the mutual funds back into our fold, and we are fairly confident. I think when they see the performance of the company in this quarter and the next quarter, we will also do marketing and meeting all the people there.
Okay. One last thing, sir, from my side. I have seen couple of like last 1-2 years. We have related party transactions. Kind of, it's not a huge amount. It's kind of 200 crores on average. Do you think it's going to go down? I believe like one of these things may actually, mutual funds or any investors may not encourage to invest in companies if they have like related.
Let me give you a clarification here. The related party transaction that we talk of is almost 95% is 100% subsidiaries, 100% or 98% subsidiaries that Rico Auto owns. And if you would recall, we have sent a notice to the stock exchange. And even this time, we've sent a message we put on our results. We've written that we are collapsing all the companies back into one. And so all the related party transactions from that itself will drop by almost about 90%. And 90 to 95%, I think they'll drop. And subsequently, there'll be three companies left. One will be Rico Auto. And we will be collapsing Rico Auto and RIL back into the company. And besides that, after this process is over, I think another 2 years' time, there'll be two companies left. One is Rico Gen5, which is a separate company making wheels, and there we have a partner who owns about 2.5-3% ownership there. But as an independent company making one particular component, which is the wheel of two-wheelers. And then we have Rico Fluidtronics, which is a pump manufacturing company, which we acquired. We were 50% partners there, and now we bought over the company. And because Magna wanted to sell to one company in Korea, and they offered us whether we wanted to buy or tag along. We offered to buy our share. And that company also, I think sooner or later, we will merge into our system. So we would like to operate minimum amount of companies so that intercompany transactions are not there, or related party transactions also not there. So we also don't like it, and we want to get out of it.
That is the case, sir. I feel like it is a conflict for investors. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
So
thank you.
The only company that would remain independent is ANN, which is a defense outfit. And we like to keep it independent because many companies don't like to operate with companies which are dealing in defense, like some of the OEM companies. So that company would remain separate. But let me tell you about ANN. Okay. Besides this, we have two subsidiaries. One is in UK, one is in the US. And these UK and US subsidiaries, we had to bring them up. And now they are fairly old. They are over 15 to 20 years old. The UK, earlier we were shipping our goods from here, and we were giving to our agents, and agents were delivering to the customers. So we were actually losing control of the goods, and the payments that were coming to us would be delayed by 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, 8 months, and then settling of accounts became a big challenge. So now when we ship goods, we ship to our 100% subsidiary in the UK and or US, and the goods are totally under our control. And those companies that deal only with Rico, we ship to them and they ship to the customer. The money comes in that company, and the money, 100% of money comes here. There is no other transaction that takes place in those companies there. But having said that, we are trying to reduce that also, because now some of the customers have started accepting consignment sales, and like BMW and some of our big customers. So we are shipping directly to them, not through our subsidiaries, so that we can avoid that. And we might even shut down one of the UK subsidiaries soon, because there are 2-3 customers left we are pursuing even now to buy directly rather than buy through our subsidiary in UK. In the US, we are supplied to all the companies through our subsidiary there, and that also we are pursuing with the companies that they should buy directly and rather than through our company. We would not like to maintain it, but we are doing it so that we don't lose control over the goods. That is the main thing. These are the 2 subsidiaries we have overseas. The transaction is 100% with Rico Auto in India and nobody else in the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much for detail.
Yeah.
Thank you. Participants, if you have any questions, please enter star and 1. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. And we are very confident we are back. And the premium freights, etc., that we had to the extent we had last year, we are getting absolutely out of those. And the plants are performing much better. The profitability of individual plants is monitored on a fortnightly basis, and all the companies are doing well. Fortunately, the demand is there in all the plants, and the pressure is on us to meet the total demand of all our customers. And even in the two-wheelers, despite the market not picking up, we've been able to get the two-wheelers. They normally have a policy of having dual sourcing, 2 sourcing, or 3 sourcing suppliers. And we've been able to get a larger share of business, so that we've actually, despite the month of May actually being a washout, and most of the OEMs are closed in the month of May, our sale has actually gone up with the two-wheeler in the two-wheeler business also. That's primarily because of larger share of business, and in the passenger vehicles also we are getting more businesses and larger share of businesses. And so we have got very aggressive in utilizing our capacity to the full. And fortunately this year the commodities are more stable, and we should be able to recover our total losses that we had last year. And besides that, we are going to shorten the period of the commodity. It's a pass-through, fortunately, but the pass-through should happen sooner than later. In that 6 months, we will bring it down to 3 months, and for 3 months, we started talking to customers that can we make it monthly. 1 or 2 customers have agreed, and actually Hero has agreed, and we started doing, and Bajaj is also doing it. But the car makers at the moment are still insisting on 3 monthly commodity price change. And once we recover the amount, we will still keep on putting pressure on these companies so that the pass-through can happen much faster rather than get delayed by 3 to 6 months. Besides that, our focus is on technology items. Like we are talking of like we mentioned, the Toyota project, and that is going to be a very, very prestigious project that I had mentioned earlier also. That was allotted to us in competition with the Japanese makers in India and also in Japan. And so Toyota had actually got 3 sets of dies made from the companies who were going to supply. And we were the first ones who could deliver and deliver them quality of those highly technical components. Each die in that would weighs almost about 50 tons, and die cost is about 4 to 5 crores each. So you can imagine the scale and size of those components. And we were the ones who were successful, and we finally got the total order from Toyota. And with the commitment that in case they don't sell in India, in the first phase they are exporting to Japan. They'll continue exporting to Japan and Southeast Asia, but they are very confident that in India also the sales will pick up dramatically, and they would like to use this in all the smaller passenger vehicles as well, whether be it Suzuki or be it any other vehicle. So I think we are in this year and next year onwards is going to be a very aggressive growth and good profitable items that are actually coming up. Thank you so much. We hope that there's no third wave, and I would want everybody to remain safe and be healthy and wear a mask always, irrespective whether you got a double dose of the jab, and please be safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of Essential Technologies Private Limited, we conclude this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.